My last video covered New Orleans and its long fight against rising seas, sinking land, and the very real possibility that parts of the city could become harder and harder to protect. But New Orleans isn't the only Gulf Coast city with a sinking problem. Here in Houston, we feel a deep kinship with our sister city down the coast. We share heat, humidity, hurricanes, food, music, flood trauma, and a long history of pretending everything is fine until the water shows up at the door. But Houston's problem isn't just rising seas, it isn't just stronger storms, it isn't just flooding. Large parts of the Houston metro area are also sinking. And the uncomfortable part is this: some of the places people move to in order to escape flooding may now have their own sinking land problem. For decades, the Houston metro area has expanded north and west into suburbs like Katy, Cypress, and Spring, the Woodlands, and Fulshear. For a lot of families, that was Plan B. If the older parts of town flooded too much, you moved farther out. You got a newer house, a bigger yard, maybe better schools, and hopefully a little more distance from the worst flood zones. But what happens if Plan B starts to fail? According to a recent report from the Houston-Galveston Subsidence District, even some of these fast-growing suburbs are now struggling with serious ground subsidence. In parts of Katy, Texas, the land has sunk as much as 14 inches in the past decade. The main culprit is groundwater pumping. As these suburbs boomed, they pulled huge amounts of water from underground aquifers. But those aquifers are not just empty caves waiting to refill. They're layers of sand, silt, and clay. When too much water is removed, those layers can compact and collapse. And once the land sinks, it does not spring back. That is the awful part. You can slow the damage. You can stop making it worse, but you cannot really undo it. The solution is to reduce groundwater use and switch more of the region over to surface water. That means more pipelines, more treatment plants, more pumping stations, and a whole lot of money. The Houston-Galveston Subsidence District has pushed local water districts to reduce groundwater use from about 40% down to 20% over the next decade. And yes, residents are already seeing some of that cost show up as extra fees on their water bills. So this is not one of those easy problems where everybody agrees there's a disaster coming and then magically does the responsible thing in time. This is slow, it is expensive, it is politically annoying. And it is happening in the exact places where Houston's population has been growing the fastest. Now, to be clear, subsidence itself is not directly caused by climate change. This is mostly a man-made problem caused by pumping too much groundwater. But it makes climate-related problems worse because when the land sinks, flooding gets easier, drainage gets harder, storm surge has farther to reach. And when you add more roads, parking lots, rooftops, and concrete to fast-growing suburbs, rainwater has fewer places to go. So even if the water falls from the sky instead of coming in from the Gulf, sinking land still matters. And the Houston area already has a cautionary tale. In the 1940s, the Brownwood neighborhood near Baytown began sinking because of excessive groundwater pumping. Over time, parts of the area dropped by as much as 9 feet. 9 feet. Today, that former neighborhood is part of the Baytown Nature Center. And look, nature centers are great. I love a good nature center, but they should probably be planned ahead of time because nobody wants their neighborhood to become one after the houses are gone. That is the lesson here. Subsidence is quiet. It is slow. It does not usually arrive like a hurricane on the radar, but by the time people really notice it, the damage may already be permanent. So, New Orleans is not the only sinking place we should be watching. Houston has its own version of the problem. And this time, it is not just the old city center or the obvious flood zones. It is spreading into the suburbs people thought were safer. If you're interested in the growing problem of ground subsidence in cities, coastlines, and even island nations, check out my new Sinking Places playlist. And if you want more grounded doom scrolling without the panic for profit nonsense, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stick around. Until we chat again, stay dry.